I had a couple questions on the minutes just as follow-up. Did we get any word back from David on the Class 6 road issue?
He talked to me.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, you go ahead.
I just got the pictures that I forwarded, but you actually spoke with him.
I did. He said that it's minimal, that they agreed to drag it and smooth it out when they leave, and he has no problem with it. In addition to which, I found out, they have, I don't know how many loads, but they've put quite a few loads of stone and gravel in the road where it was needed.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yes, I thought that was a condition of the logging permit.
Take care of it.
Well, I will disagree with David. Yes, you can get a four-wheel drive pickup, but I've walked it again today, and I've walked it several times. That's where I walk, up back there. But it's not minimal. They have got 6 bridges in one area. I told you before that it was about 150 to 200 feet. It's closer to 500 feet that have to be removed because they're all sticking out at different levels. I've just today been able to walk it. Otherwise, I've had to go in the field because the mud bogs are so deep and the ruts are so deep. It is much smoother. They have dragged the middle. I thought maybe it was the truck dragging the middle. But now that said David, because the middle is smoothing out other than the rock. Also, I told you the road was closed at that point. That was only for 4-wheelers and Jeeps. It wasn't for the loggers.
Okay.
Because I questioned the logger at the foot of the hill, asked him why he was going up and down there with his chain still on. I was here on Tuesday. On Wednesday, he was at the foot of my hill, so I stopped and I said, I'm going to ask him what's going on.
David told me that the road closed sign was actually past the logging yard.
It's where? It's across from Paul Monte's. It's at the top of Griffin Hill
Well, that's what
Extension.
David told me. Who put that up? David, I believe David did.
That would have been ours, I would have thought. Okay, so it sounds like we need to probably...
And one other clarification, the bridges that she's talking about?
Right.
The bridges are those bolted together spans that the loggers often use to cross wet areas, and they will remove them when they leave. They're their property.
Temporary.
They're temporary bridges. Yeah.
Okay. So this one gets a little squirrely because we don't maintain.
I understand that.
Class
It's
6
just
road.
that they have damaged the road. It's much better today. I mean, I could walk the whole thing. I could avoid the mud and the water that's still there, but I could walk all the way out to the culvert, and I found out why there's the muddy part there that goes to South Aqua. That's because their big truck drives in there and they back up the hill to wherever they have to go to get the logs and so on. But I did meet a pickup truck on there, and it happened to be Jerry Crosby. And I said, did you know this road is closed? And he said, no. He said, well, why is it closed, you know? And I said, I don't know. You'll have to ask your father why it's only open to the loggers. I mean, I'm not trying to cause trouble or anything, but it's just all winter long. And the other thing is, that Griffin Hill extension, our Griffin Hill was not posted this year. Aren't they supposed to have a load limit post on those roads?
Just because it's a Class 6 road? Or?
No, not the Class 6 road.
Talking about dirt roads.
It's the dirt road that goes up 2 ways.
I see.
We always, in the past, have posted our roads to keep.
Well, I called
6 foot
Akron
and
and I
6
called Langdon, and they said, yes, they do post their roads. Now, I don't know why this road, this winter, didn't get posted.
I don't.
It has in the past, but this winter, it did not get posted.
I don't know if he posted any roads this year.
Okay.
Well, that's not good.
Well, I don't know they did.
It was posted, wasn't it?
No.
They had the shop, the little sign.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
There's a question. Do you have a list of the roads that should be posted? If you don't, maybe that's the first place to start.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we stand on our road inventory.
Griffin Hill has been
Oh, I can
posted,
give you the road.
not this year.
But what we don't have, we've pretty much let David post the road.
I've seen the
checklist.
I got a picture of it.
There's the ones that should be posted.
Or if you ever want to look at it, or you talk to them.
It's only one page.
No, two.
Oh. Seems like it would be more.
Anyway,
Okay. So we will talk to David about road posting.
well,
and get-
maybe we should get somebody other than David to go and look at, give us an independent,
You will find it much different now because it has dried out.
Well, we're getting,
They dragged it.
I know what it is, but
I didn't go up last night because
I'll go up with you, but I don't wanna walk it myself.
I get you.
Yeah, it's all been
you
dug
got
up.
four-wheel drive. It doesn't.
We check clear,
Somebody
we
is
check
supposed to go
clear
up and
tonight.
check that hole.
I'll go up with you.
Because I don't know how good the pavement is.
The thing is that we've got a situation where we're developing a dispute between what he says, she says kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we need to, although we do have pictures,
Yeah.
we need to come down on one side or the other here.
How about,
Now, you understand that if I go with him, it's gonna be a public meeting.
if we discuss, no, if you go to observe and you don't discuss or make any decisions, then you are just going to the same place on town business. Would you agree with that?
No decision
The decision?
and no, what is it, discourse.
Yeah. So you can go up, you can take a look, you can each take notes, and then at our next meeting, we can discuss those.
You okay with that?
Does that work? So you two are going. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go in his truck. He's driving.
Maybe I'll follow. What day are you guys going up?
When you want it.
And I'm, anytime. I'm at your disposal.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay. I can probably follow you up then. What time? 8. 8 a.m.
Or earlier, it's fine with me. If you wanna go at 6, it's 5, 3.
Would I be, which side do I meet?
What
you
time's
on?
good for you?
Doesn't matter. Anytime. Before working hours. So 8 o'clock perfect.
Well, I go to work early.
You get more done by 10 o'clock.
Well, let's say
Most people. 8 o'clock's good.
You think up at my house?
We're going to meet on the Alstead center side, or the other side. Does it go through, over?
It does, but you won't wanna go his way.
Okay. So
It's done by a lot by
Okay. All right, see you guys then. All right, we'll go take a look at it ourselves.
Okay, but you're not gonna find it the way it was when I was here last week, because it
That's
has
good.
dried
good.
out a lot, and they have dragged it. I believe, to me, it looks like to me like it was dragged.
What we're worried about is what it looks like after they're done. Not,
Yeah.
Do you know when they're gonna be done? They've been in there for like 7, 8 months.
I don't know how long they're gonna be.
I don't know. Do we have, we didn't bring that permit, did we? Okay. We'll look at that.
The
I
lot's
mean,
not
now
that
they're,
big.
I mean, unless there are grain, you know, it's gonna start smoothing out quite a bit more.
That's good.
The fact that I could walk it is,
That's what we want. We want
yeah, but I'd like to see it,
Back to
I'd
it.
like to see the snowmobile club approve it too, not just David, because David doesn't snowmobile.
Do you have a name?
For who?
Snowmobile Club?
Tri-Town Snowmobile Club.
Yeah, I can get some things.
Rock should know, I mean, I know,
Yeah.
you know, so, and then
Yeah.
Chris and Mark French, I don't know what Smith's name is, I'll tell you all the other columns.
Tom Smith.
It's,
Tom Smith.
It's Tom. I think he's part trail master and so on. The other issue they're concerned with is the culvert, because it was a used culvert to begin with.
Okay, we will, go out and investigate ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll talk about it at our next meeting, if I'm told.
Maybe they'll be done by then.
Maybe they will. Okay, and do we have anybody else who has anything to bring forward? Did you start to say you did, or? March?
No.
Okay,
I was just doing the finals damn thing.
that's okay. Okay, so now that we've kind of jumped around, are there any other changes to the minutes that we would like to make? Well, let me continue with my follow-up questions. Is there a, do we get the letters out regarding the fire department equipment?
We did not, there have been 2 previous ones that have already gone out, that Linda shared with me.
Correct.
So I have one of those, so she wasn't, the last one was fairly stern, she thought maybe we would want to go to the next step,
Okay.
which would mean.
Did you forward us a copy of that?
I can.
Last one. Let's.
No, she just put that on my desk, I can scan that.
Okay,
and then
yeah, let's do
forward
that. We'll take a look at it and see if we, how much more
Okay.
stern we wish to get. Or whether we just,
Okay.
and next step is, I guess, bringing suit.
And that's what she wondered.
Right.
Is there a written policy that says you get the equipment, you have to return it? Or
I don't know if there was at that point. That's a good question.
It's town property.
It doesn't belong
Paid
to
for
them.
and belongs to town.
Well, I'm just saying that, probably when you issue it, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a little form that
Everybody
says.
wants written policy.
Well, this is a real simple thing.
No, I agree completely with you. I'm just saying that I can't speak for when those were given out.
Yeah.
But
While we're talking about policies, I haven't asked Kelly yet, but there should be a folder somewhere with all of the Alstead policies in it, so that people can go, public can go and see what the policy is for this, that. Now, we make decisions and we don't always get it all written out into a policy, but. And I don't know what policies are in force from before I came.
So there is the Alstead employee manual, which is the policies for all employees.
Which I have read, yeah.
Which is dated and has, in my mind, in need of update.
It does.
And that's all the work with the HR
Right, that was one of the recommendations that the updated is.
You were on the HR?
Yes.
Yeah.
Should we ask him a question about that when we get to it?
And what a perfect prelude, thank you.
What's the question?
We will get to that. What we 3 need to figure out is how we go about the process of updating. Is that something we do ourselves? Is that something we delegate out to?
The August after.
Yeah, and we'll provide guidance to that. Those guys provided us a great template from another town, which will massage a little bit, and then they can work up a draft. But maybe we'll wait till Kelly has help before we.
I take that out. I do have some.
Along those lines, though, I think the other point you were trying to make was that when we do talk about stuff and we decide something and we just say, hey, let's do it this way from now on, we should be putting every one of those things in form of a policy, an ordinance, whatever it is, as opposed to it just going into the minutes. Would you agree with that? And I think we just all need to be cognizant of that.
Well, you have to decide what's an ad hoc one-off thing and what's a policy. What's a policy matter?
My problem is I don't know what policies are in force at the beginning of my term. I don't know what I have to do. So.
I would have to agree. That's actually something that I'm going to present with my topic tonight is I've updated our policies manual. Kelly has a copy for each of you.
Excellent.
Hasn't been done since 2006, and I put job descriptions in it. I took out a lot of words that aren't PC words to have in anymore.
Okay. We'll get to you. But that's good, thank you.
So what I will do from now on is any policies that you put forth, I do make a copy and I put them in the appropriate file, the thing like the mileage policy, but anything that you guys move forward, I can certainly print it out and have a binder.
Which we need to get together. I think what's more important is that we recognize when we're doing something that it may have an effect beyond that moment, or it doesn't, to Rich's point. It's an ad hoc one.
Here's the deal. So there are 2 things. Policy, you have firmly stated and it's something you intend to apply. And then there's things that you set precedent. That's slightly different from policy. You have to recognize that when you do something, you may be setting a precedent, which is a different issue from a policy.
Yes, and not to go into too much detail, but no other select board is really bound by what this select board does.
I want you to remember that, later, control department. Tonight.
Okay. All right, so with those very few pilus dam inspection, and I got through all my questions, I'll move that we accept the budget, or, it's been a long day.
Yep.
The minutes as amended, seconded,
No, corrected.
That's
correct.
right.
In favor? Aye. Abstaining. All right. And move on to Jesse.
Okay, Kelly has copies of the updated policies, ambulance sub-policies outside of town policies. I can go over them with you, it'll only take a minute. First thing that needed to be done was certain words needed to be taken out, i.e. dental patient. It's just not something that's typically used anymore. So basically, what I did in the beginning as you look through, there's 4 head positions as opposed to 2. This is Lou, for anybody that doesn't know Lou. He is the lieutenant. He is voted on by the squad members. So according to the old SOP manual, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ad hoc things that can be done by squad members. And one of the nightmares that I've had is trying to figure out who at any given time had done those jobs in the past. Because it was an ad hoc committee, it wasn't a person assigned to that. So what I'm asking for is 2 more positions, and I would like to discuss how those positions are put in place. But with a roster of 22 people in span of control, being 3 to 7, 5 being optimum, we're way bottom heavy, if you will. We're similarly sized to the fire department, and I believe they have 6 officers. I'm asking for 4. And basically what it does is all functions and responsibilities that need to be done per the old SOGs will be delegated out to 2 new officers of the ambulance.
Okay, so at a high level, you have the chief, you have the assistant chief, and that is formerly known as the lieutenant.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have a position of captain.
Correct.
And you have a position of lieutenant.
Correct.
And I don't personally, I don't disagree with the count. ICS, that's pretty standard if you want to keep it in that 5 to 7 range. The reality is we always tend towards the 7 instead of the 5.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
I think you're really close there.
the other portion of that was the delegation of duties that were similar to each other, and not having people doing things that weren't, having people do things that are all similar to each other instead of having people do things that aren't similar to each other, if that makes sense.
Now you're trying to combine like responsibilities together,
Right.
complementary to each role.
Right.
Jesse, I'm going over this quickly, I'm sure, but it looks to me like it's more of an internal policy rather than a town policy.
That's correct. This is an internal policy.
So you're giving this to us for our...
Blessing. Correct.
Okay.
Or your approval, because I can't change internal policy myself.
Why is that?
Because
Who's the chief?
there isn't one.
I can't hear.
Captain is the chief.
Well, then he's basically gonna make himself chief.
You're gonna make yourself chief, right?
Unless you wanna make somebody else chief.
All in favor? I was gonna say between you two and Bob.
Well, that's where it says.
Yeah, that's right.
That should say one here.
No.
There are,
Well, then I need a sergeant, a corporal, if we were to use our current.
then what I think might be a responsible course would be for us to take this, read it, because I don't want to rush through this and not give it the time that I should. And I think we could reply to you as to whether we have any objections. Does that?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how it works. Does the town appoint a chief that's common, and then the chief builds the structure?
Yes.
Have we done that? Have we appointed a chief?
We have appointed Jesse as the captain. Now, this calls for a change in title, which I could care less about.
Yes, but
So to move, the answer to that question is to move it down, that would require a sergeant, a corporal. If we were to add 2 new positions.
well, why can't you internally take care of your structure yourself with or without the new positions as you need them, rather than trying to marry it to your policy?
Because that's been problematic throughout time.
Well, then make your structure, just like we have a structure here, that's what they call a flow chart. Make your flow chart for what you need to service.
Correct.
The
But
community.
2 people's not ample for 24.
I understand that, but you've got more than, so, you've got assistant, captains, chiefs, lieutenants, do you need all of those?
We have 2 now for 24 people. Fire department has the same number of people and they have 6 officers.
Okay. Well, forget about the fire department. That may be,
We do a very similar,
what you need is you need to have a structure for your responsibility. Don't worry about the fire department.
correct, and that's what I'm doing there.
And I think
So you want people to fill each one of these positions?
I think so. So first of all, this is absolutely great because we can review this and again, come back and say, do we have any issues? One thing that Rock noted, which is dead on, is that the position of chief should be referenced as appointed and that other roles are either elected by crew members or appointed by the chief, whatever you want to do, however those people are selected. Put that in here.
That's a fluid document that's right here to be changed, modified.
That's fine. But I think, at least my gut feeling is that we appointed you as captain, which we're okay with you changing your title to chief, number 1. Number 2, as you point out in the first paragraph, you fall under the rules and regulations of the Town of Alstead Employee Policy Manual, which is appropriate.
Correct.
You're not superseding that in any way. And then I think what we would do is look to you to put together the structure that you feel makes the best sense, because that's what we entrusted you with. This outlines it.
Yes.
Now, with that understood, is there a financial aspect to this that in other words, does the captain make a whole bunch of money?
That is up to you.
I guess that's what I'm asking, is that part of this presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
It should be.
Somewhere.
A lot of these tasks that have been tasked out to do require extra work and extra responsibility from just being a crew member. I cannot do all of them. I'm not asking for a giant stipend, but I do believe that the people that do those jobs should be remunerated a little bit more, as they would be held accountable for that to get done.
Do you have those numbers?
I do not.
Okay. I think we would need your recommendations?
I have recommendations, I don't know if
That
open
would be
forum
a
is,
starting point. The second thing, well, if we're talking about roles and positions, and not talking about specific people or who you're gonna choose, A or B, let's address it first as the position and what it should be paid. That's absolutely a public meeting.
okay. I was thinking 500 and 250.
Okay, but the second